Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. My name is Noah, and welcome back to the Monday Morning Quarterbacks podcast. I got that one right this time, not the morning quarterbacks. Today, I'm here with my other co-host.
Yeah, you're still here with Mark today. Um, like Noah said, welcome back to the Monday Morning Quarterbacks. Today, we wanted to entertain you guys a little bit. We wanted to give you guys some juicy material to talk about. So one of the
Juicy.
things that sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Noah,
Oh
but
no, no.
one of the things that we're pretty known for in our group of friends is giving hot takes. Um, I'll speak for myself, but Noah, you can also speak for yourself. But I'm pretty reactionary, which means I like to change my opinions quite a bit. But I like to change my opinions until I see something to change it again, right? So yeah, I'm pretty easy to change opinions, but I am pretty reactionary. So a lot of our friends tend to think that I have some pretty hot takes.
Yeah, no, and while I do agree with you, I do think you have hot takes. I think sometimes you're like boiling, and I'm just in hell because some of it doesn't even make
Yeah.
sense sometimes.
Yeah,
But
some of them are pretty scalding. So we wanted
yeah.
to bring those to you guys today, let you kind of see some of our hot takes. And actually, we're doing something a little special right now. This is going to be the first time that either of us are going to hear each other's hot takes. So you're going to get some true reactions, and we'll get to have some discord about it. Maybe talk each other off the ledge. And yeah, so without further ado, we're going to give you guys our top 10 hot takes for the 2024 NFL season. Um,
Alrighty.
so, so we're going to start off. Let me kind of lay the scene here. No, we're going to start off with they're all going to be hot takes, but we're going to start off with like the bell pepper of hot takes, right? So not super spicy, maybe just a little bit more, you know, baseline kind of hot take here. I don't know if you wanted to start this one out, Noah, if you have a hot take that's a little bit lower on that scale, or if all of yours are just scalding. I mean, I could go ahead and start off with a pretty easy, uh, like I said, the bell pepper level of hot takes.
Right. No, because I mean, I'm looking at my list right now. You said top 10. I only have five. Well, I guess six if I truly kind of count it.
Well,
Uh,
you have five, I have five was kind of my goal, right?
okay. Okay.
Five for you, five for me. Total, we'd have 10 for our listeners to listen to.
Yeah. Truthfully, there are some that I think some people would agree with. But, when I was doing my research last night on a lot of these,
Hmm.
I mean, a lot of these are from the New York Times, and they have that, like, teams are going to be projected to be, third or fourth, the best in the NFL. And
Hmm.
there's just no way in hell I see it. I mean, no way at all I see it.
Gotcha.
So maybe other people do agree with that. And, if you join the masses and you agree with it, but I don't agree with it, then it
So
would be a really bad hot take.
what's your one that you could like realistically see happening next year? It's not too much of a stretch.
I genuinely, I don't think. Okay. Here's one
Yeah,
that I think a
just
lot
give
of
me one. Yeah.
people. Here's one thing that I think people probably would agree with.
Hmm.
Should the Browns trade for a more reliable quarterback, or should they stick with
Ooh,
Deshaun?
interesting. So this could get spicy because Deshaun is on mine as well. So
Okay.
that's a hot take that I have, but I'll let you go first. What's your take?
So yeah. So should the Browns trade for a more reliable quarterback? And if they would they make the Super Bowl? Right. That is
Hmm.
a. I think that's a question that Browns fans have been dying for, is to get back to a Super Bowl, and I don't think they've never won one. I'm sure they've been to one before, but when they signed Deshaun, as we went on our first episode about quarterback contracts, he's kind of
Yeah.
up there within the like average paid,
Right. Right. He's
and
pretty high up there.
I think if you have a more reliable quarterback, as in not, stuff, the drama off the field and the drama on the field, as in getting injured,
Hmm.
like last season, you did mention the wins that the Browns did get from Joe Flacco.
Hmm.
I think that's a fair point. I mean, what if they had obviously Joe Flacco's not an average quarterback anymore, but what if they did get a reliable, good, potentially young quarterback that they traded for. Like, say for example, the New Orleans, the Saints, that Ritter guy. What's his name? Not
Wait, you're talking
Desmond
about the
Ritter.
Falcons, Desmond Ritter,
No, no,
or
no,
Derek
no.
Carr?
Sorry. Oh no. Guess I should have done better research, huh? The
Yeah.
Saints the quarterback they drafted in like the fourth round or something. Um, Spencer
Oh,
Rattler.
Spencer Rattler. Oh,
Yeah,
this year. Sorry, I thought you were
yeah.
talking about the quarterback last year. Yeah, yeah, Spencer Rattler.
Spencer, that took me a while, but yeah, Spencer Rattler. What if they, I've seen a lot of clips on him throwing dimes, right,
Mm,
in OTAs or whatever they're called right now.
yeah.
I mean, making a lot of noise right now. And I don't know if you watched the Netflix series that he did, but apparently he was like the number one quarterback out of high school, and then he kind of fell off, right? Well,
Hmm.
what if he fell off and that was a good thing? What if it humbled him? And what if you put that somewhat of a good quarterback around that team, around those weapons, around that defense? Because as we know, defense does win championships,
Hmm.
and it gives this young fellow to to I say young fellow, we're the same age, but it gives him time to develop, time to sort of kind of get that mojo that he needs.
Well, dude, here, let me do you one even better. Okay. You're talking about Deshaun Watson. Just remember, last year when he went down, Joe Flacco took his place. Joe Flacco played in 5 games for Deshaun Watson last year and went 4-1 as a starter. Okay. Joe Flacco's stats as a Cleveland Brown last year, he had a 60% completion percentage. He had 1,600 yards. He had 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So let's not act like he was setting the world on fire.
Yeah,
What the
no.
Browns had was competent quarterback play. I'll give you one even better. You're talking about a rookie that's coming in and unproven. I'll reach back into the bag with something I've used before. What if the Browns would have signed Russell Wilson for a veteran minimum?
Yeah.
What if what if he comes in there and just gives them competent quarterback play? That's really all that was needed for the Browns to win those 4 games. And if I remember correctly, those 4 games weren't particularly close. They lost his first start to the Rams. They beat the Jaguars by 4 points. They beat the Bears by 3 points. They I hesitate to say blew out. They hung 36 on the Houston Texans,
Oh, and the Texans
36 to
are
22,
yeah.
and then they also hung 37 on that New York Jets vaunted defense. So again, I'm just saying, if they were to bring in competent quarterback play, who knows where they would be. Now I'm gonna one up your hot take, because this is one of my ones with a little bit more heat with Deshaun Watson. I think he gets benched in the year, and I think he gets cut at the end of the season.
Really?
That's my hot take. I think that the Broncos already paved the way to do this with Russell Wilson, that massive contract of Russell Wilson's that they're eating. I think the Browns are going to do the same thing and eat the massive contract. I think if Deshaun doesn't turn it around within, in my opinion, the first 6 games. If it was me, I'd give him 4. But I think they'll give him 6 games. I think they're done. I think they cut him. They move on.
Wow, that is interesting. I mean, you do bring a fair point about the Russell Wilson, his adventures in the Broncos.
Hmm.
But I just looked up the Browns and I forgot that they actually signed Jameis Winston.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They signed Jameis Winston to be able to maybe make a pivot. I'm just saying.
I mean Winston, I'm not gonna say he's some all holy great quarterback, but he did throw like 40-40, right? 40 touchdowns, 40 interceptions, and I think he was a first round pick for a reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think maybe I don't know, maybe the Browns do bench Watson and they move to Winston, like we said, in the middle of the season if it's not working out. Because I think Nick Chubb, if he's 75% of the running back he was when he comes back, I think they'll be good. I think he'll be good. I also think Amari Cooper, we traded for him for half a bag of Doritos. I still to this day don't know why. And then they got Jerry Judy, although I do know you and I don't like Jerry Judy because he can't catch, but
Yeah.
I
He's
mean,
got bricks for hands, but that's
yeah.
okay.
But that defense is like a dream to a GM. because I mean it's just like it's almost dominant how good they are.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry about that. So we're going to stick with our bell pepper level takes right now. There's a good Deshaun Watson take. We both kind of had that one without comparing any notes. That was interesting.
Hmm.
Here's kind of my take that I could realistically see this happening. So I'm gonna go with this one. So I want to talk about Zay Flowers for a minute. Um, if you are as much of a fantasy football fan as I am, you guys will know that Zay Flowers is one of the names that's on people's constant risers, right? He's a candidate for the second year wide receiver breakout, whether that's in fantasy, in real life. Zay Flowers is a lot of people are very high on Zay Flowers. I'm not. I do not think that Zay Flowers is going to have as great a year as people are projecting him to have. So my what I'm thinking, this is kind of my hot take. I think that Zay Flowers, he's going to firmly be a wide receiver 3 again next year, meaning he'll fall somewhere in the 30s in terms of in this case fantasy points, but just in terms of the best wide receivers in the league, I think he'll be somewhere firmly in the 30s. Um, currently right now he's ranked at wide receiver 30 for how he performed last year. Here's my main reasons why. Okay, I think it all comes down to targets. We know that in that Baltimore Ravens offense, they're not going to sling the ball around a ton, right? In fact, they want to do the opposite, right? They want to run the ball.
Right.
Um, Last year, just for some context, Zay Flowers had 108 targets last year. Okay, um, that was with Mark Andrews missing 7 games.
Yeah.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, they were on like their third and fourth string running backs last year, right?
Yeah, because I think like the first uh that running back they had, I don't know who it
It
was,
was
but
J.K. Dobbins,
yeah,
right?
he tore his Achilles the first game.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles the first game, and I think something happened to their backup running back too,
I think so.
because
I think
because
so
they were
too.
running with Gus Edwards, and I mean, I really couldn't tell you who. But now who do they have this year? They have King Henry.
Yeah.
So you've got King Henry, you've got Lamar Jackson, and you've got Mark Andrews all back in this offense. And Zay Flowers last year was only able to get targeted 108 times with Mark Andrews missing 7 games. I don't see it happening. I don't see that number increasing. I think that what I did is I went through and looked at like what those top, in order to be like a wide receiver 2 or above. Wide receiver 2 or above would mean that you're the 24th or best, right, 24 or better ranked wide receiver, right? On
Yeah.
average last year, get this, on average last year, if you were a wide receiver 2, so those 24 wide receivers, they had 138 targets on average last year. Zay
Okay.
Flowers was 30 targets below that last year with a depleted running back room and Mark Andrews gone.
Hmm.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah, you don't see him taking the responsibility of being that wide receiver one.
No, I think he'll be the wide receiver 1 for the Baltimore Ravens, but I
Yeah.
don't see any path where he becomes a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2 even in fantasy. So that's my flag. That's where I'm planting it. I think he finishes in the 30s for wide receivers in fantasy next year. And I think even at the end of next year, he's not considered in the top wide receivers for the league.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good take because as you did mention, I mean, with Derrick Henry coming back, and he had a pretty good year last year. I mean, he's always put up phenomenal numbers almost every year he's done when he's not hurt. I think I think like we said, yeah, I think they're obviously going to run the ball more. I think that's why they even got Henry so Lamar would potentially get rid of those
Those goal line
injury.
carries, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
those injuries, that risk of injury, I should say, not necessarily injuries, but the risk of injuries. And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, Mark Andrews, I think is a big part of their plan. But like what you said, he got hurt. I mean, what he tore his something in his leg or his foot. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember the injury, but all I know is that it sidelined him for 7 games, and even with those 7 games, that was all that Zay Flowers was able to amass. So, like I said, I know a lot of people are high on him. I don't. I've sold all my Zay Flowers shares, and I just don't have a lot of faith in him for next year. And I don't know that it's him. Maybe I should rephrase. I think it's just more the offense that he's in. I think obviously the wide receiver himself, like the talent is there. I can't get out there and run routes as well as him, right? That's not going to happen. But I just think that offense that he's in, I don't see any path where he is a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I have
that's
him finishing in the 30s.
okay, and that's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So again, I maybe that was a little hotter take, but that's kind of my lower level take. I think that we should spice this up a little bit, Noah. I think we go into the jalapeno pepper take level now. So what's your next spicy take? Again, we're still on the lower tier, but what's your spicier one up?
Yeah, so as I mentioned on, or maybe I didn't mention, I'm doing my research yesterday on the New York Times, a respectable news outlet. They have the Houston Texans as the number 11th team, like ranked.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They are out of their mind. Ranked 11th? You're telling me that the Bengals are better, the Jets are better, the Cowboys are better? There's no way. There is no way. And even the Bills. I mean, I know the Bills came off a great year, but Josh Allen just lost. Josh Allen's lost his number one weapon to the Texans. I mean, I think that is just. I think that's just hypocrisy for the Houston Texans to be 11th, like ranked 11th. There's no way in hell. They're at least top 5. They're at least better than the Dallas Cowboys, that's for sure.
Oh, you're putting them top 5.
Yeah, I'm putting them top 5 because it shows that the Bills are 4. There's no way. There's no way
Hmm.
the Bills are top 5 in my opinion. I'm putting the Texans top.
So maybe let's ask this: who do you have ahead of them?
I have the 49ers.
Hmm.
I have the Chiefs.
Okay.
I have the Ravens.
Okay.
And I would say I have the Lions.
Okay.
And okay, you know what? Maybe top 7. Okay, because I think the Dolphins could be better.
Okay.
And then I think I would have the Texans.
Hmm.
But
So you know what's interesting. Sorry, just to bolster your point a little bit. I just pulled up ESPN Bet,
Mhm.
and the win totals for the Houston Texans next year, out of 17 games, what do you think their win totals at? What do you think they're placing the bets at?
14.
9.5.
9.5.
Yeah, so you can take the over for 9.5 wins. It's minus money. It's minus 140 right now. The under is plus 120. So I think people are skewing towards them having the over, but the fact that it's to me, I can hop on your bandwagon here. To me, the fact that that win total is set at 9.5, I think that's disrespectful.
Absolutely. I mean, CJ Stroud had a remarkable year with kind of revived the franchise. I mean, Davis Mills was obviously not the savior for them.
Yeah.
And I think them trading up to get that linebacker they got, Will Anderson, I think his name was, or
Hmm.
the defensive end. I mean, I
Uh-huh.
think I think that I think they got a great key points on both the offense and defense in last year's draft, and I think it's going to show next year.
Okay. Okay. So you have them top 5. So just so you have the Chiefs, the Niners, the Ravens, the Lions ahead of them,
Hmm.
and then you would say the Texans. Would you put Philly ahead of the? And again, this I know this is coming from Cowboys fans. Would you put Philly in front of the Texans?
Yeah, I mean, and like what I'm reading right now, I mean, they lost Kelsey, and I think
Hmm.
he even as old as he was last year, I think he
Hmm.
was probably one of the best centers. I think we can agree on that.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
I think Fletcher Cox has kind of down.
Didn't he retire?
Yeah, no, he did retire, but I don't know if he had that good of a year last year. I mean,
Okay. You don't know that they're gonna feel it as much.
I think they will because he's been there for 12 something years. I mean, he's been there forever, right?
Hmm.
I I also don't see Philly as top 5 either.
Okay. Okay.
Everyone. I'm
That's
reading
fine.
right now that the Eagles. It says the Eagles are still stacked. At quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, but they lost to the Buccaneers last year to you know what I mean in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
it wasn't even like it was a competitive game. No, like you kind of knew going into that game, like I
Yeah.
don't know if the Buccaneers were like favored to win,
Yeah.
but I mean they almost destroyed Philly. and to supposedly have a stacked team. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. So some of these other teams that are around the Houston Texans in their rankings, would you put the Texans above the Miami Dolphins?
See that right there. I like what I was saying. The Texans might be top 7, top 6, because
Okay.
the Miami Dolphins and Texans. I mean, the Dolphins had a great year, and I think if they could sort of kind of keep that motion going, I think it'll
Hmm.
be good for the Miami Dolphins. But with I'm pretty sure there was a lot of injuries last year on the defense for the Miami Dolphins at corners. What if
Hmm.
those corners aren't hurt? And I know they got Odell Beckham Jr. and I'm not an Odell fan at all. I mean, he went to the Ravens and everyone hyped him up. He's going to be he's going to be the receiver number 1, or at least, receiver number 2, and I don't think he did that
He
good.
wasn't. Yeah, not at all.
No. And I mean, I think the Dolphins will be good, and I think the Dolphins will see the Texans in the playoffs.
Mm, okay, calling your shot here.
Yeah.
Um, well, okay. I think I think it's a good take. I don't know how hot that take is, but if you were seeing that on a New York Times post, I think that's a pretty good. I mean, you're a lot higher on the Texans obviously than the New York Times is. I do think you made a perfect segue into my next hot take, which is the Miami Dolphins.
Mhm.
Specifically, I'm going to talk about Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
I think that Jalen Waddle is going to have another down year next year.
Did
A lot of
he
people
signed a really good year? I mean, he
signed
signed a good deal, right?
signed a great contract. Again, I know the first episode of our podcast was about different contracts and paying people while paying quarterbacks, and I know that Tua still needs a contract. I don't really want to go there. I don't know that I whatever Tua is what Tua is, right? I think people are extremely bullish, very high on Jalen Waddle, and I'm just not. I'm not. People will point towards him playing injured last year. I don't think it was anything serious enough that he missed significant time. Waddle's always been boomer bust, right? That's always been his as a fantasy fan. I know that. So there's games that he completely disappears, and there's some games where he completely goes off.
Mhm.
Here's my thing. I think that Miami is getting into that category where they just have too many mouths to feed. It's going to be the Tyreek Hill show, right?
Right.
You have the recent breakout of Devon Achan. You have Mostert, who led the league in rushing touchdowns last year. Granted, he's 32 years old as a running back in the NFL, but then they also bolstered his position by drafting Jalen Wright. So you have this potential three-headed monster at running back. You have Tyreek Hill, who you know arguably is the best wide receiver in the league. I
And
wouldn't
and
argue that,
wants the
but I think
ball.
and wants the ball, right,
Yeah.
and demands the ball for that matter. Um, I don't see it. I think Waddle with the addition of Achan, and also now reports coming out of camp, by the way, are that Achan is going to be splitting time potentially at receiver. So you're telling me not only do they have this electric player that they want to get the ball in his hands, but he's also going to be getting snaps at receiver. I just don't see it. I think that Waddle has another down year. I think they might regret the contract that they gave him. And yeah, I think in terms of boomer bust, I think he's another bust this year.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that Waddle was a 6th overall pick. I mean, that's pretty high to draft a receiver. I
Hmm.
mean, it's
It's
pretty
very
high to
high.
draft anybody, but as I'm looking at his numbers right now, I mean, he has had, 1,000 yards every season,
Hmm.
which is good.
Yeah.
But from 2021, as he was probably the number 1 option, he had 104 targets, and then the next year it dropped to 75, and then it dropped
Right.
to 72. Like what you
Yeah.
said about the three-headed monster and running backs, and with
Uh-huh.
Tyreek Hill being Tyreek Hill, I mean, he is a talented player, but I think we all know that he wants the ball, and I think he's gonna almost demand the ball.
Yeah.
Could we see, like what you're saying? Could we see another 77 reception year
Yeah.
for Jalen Waddle? And I think I would agree with you. I think they did pay him a lot of money,
Hmm.
and he is young, so maybe they're kind of hoping like Jalen Waddle will peak while Hill kind of regresses. Maybe that's their philosophy, or maybe not. I mean, I think everybody's philosophy should be is to win a Super Bowl,
Right,
not
right.
to not to have someone's prime come up and then come down. I think it should be to win right now.
Look, here's my thing, and this is the last thing I'll say about Waddle. Right? You brought up the point that everybody brought up. Right? Well, when you look at his stats, they're not that bad. He got 1,000 yards. I agree with you. You know who else got 1,000 yards last year? DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre
Oh,
Hopkins is a great receiver. Guess what? He's making $13 million a year. Jalen Waddle is making over double what he's making.
yeah, okay,
I,
yeah.
I mean, come on, right? Like if 1,000 yards is our benchmark, great. But I think for the money that you're paying him, I mean, you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as the number 4 and the number 5 highest paid receivers for this upcoming year. And I don't think that Waddle finishes above a bunch of these guys. I think he has another down year.
Okay, that's. I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say.
Okay, okay, not too spicy.
No, I mean, I do think people might react to that
Disagree.
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
extremely disagree.
yeah.
Because like what you're saying about the stats, 1,000 yards every year. I think people will go to that.
Okay, all right. So let's turn up the heat a little bit. Let's go to level 3. Level 3, we're gonna start to bring in some cayenne pepper here, man. We got the level 3 heat. What Noah is your level 3 heat take?
So he, I mentioned the Bills that they're not top four, top five in the Texans one,
Hmm.
and once again on the exact same article about from New York Times. Either they have somebody who doesn't know anything about football, or just looked back at the past records, but they have the Bills at the fourth best team in the NFL. I just and like they're comparing that team, the Bills team, to what the Chiefs did, a
Hmm.
few years ago when they traded Tyreek Hill, and they're kind of saying like, oh, the Bills did the same thing with Diggs. I don't see it that way at all. I think Josh Allen has a cannon of an arm, but if you look at his weapons, he has Kincaid and what now? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is a cannon that he can throw it super deep, but I think Mahomes is a quarterback that can extend the play and get people the ball that normally would not get the ball. So like I'm saying, Mahomes is a lot better than Allen. And I think a lot of people can agree with that. But there's no way in hell that the Bills are the fourth best team in the NFL.
Hmm.
And I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
that's
don't.
a hot take or not, but I just an elite quarterback, Josh Allen, I agree with that. But who's he gonna throw it to?
Yeah, he has no receivers. He has Kincaid, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I do have a similar take as well. No, I'm needing to get these spicy. I don't think yours is spicy enough. Um, you know, I'm gonna take it a step further. Okay, because my take's about Josh Allen and himself. I
Okay.
think that Josh Allen this year, this is my bold prediction. Josh Allen this year is going to lead the league in interceptions,
Hmm.
rushing touchdowns,
Okay.
and quarterback rushing yards. Yeah, I said it, over Lamar Jackson.
Wow. Okay.
Rushing touchdowns over Jalen Hurts, and interceptions over any of the rookies. I think he completes the hat trick, leads the league in those 3 categories. I also, to your point, I think Dalton Kincaid goes crazy because who else is he going to throw the ball to?
Hmm.
But I would not be surprised if even with those metrics, if the Bills potentially miss the playoffs.
Oh, really? The Bills missing the playoffs. Okay.
I think it could. I think it could happen. But I think that Josh Allen is going to put on a Superman cape, and I think he's going to do everything for this team. I think that everything is going to get him into some trouble, which is why I'm making the prediction for him to lead the league in interceptions. Again, rushing touchdowns. Who's he going to give the ball to? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That James Cook. James Cook isn't known as a goal line back that's going to get those hard to churn out yards. I think he keeps it himself. And QB rushing yards, I think he's going to have to run at the Lamar Jackson level to be able to keep up.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't think Lamar will do that with Henry there. I don't think
Agreed. I
at
think I
all.
think these teams are going in drastically different directions. I think the Bills are putting the world on Josh Allen's shoulders, whereas the Ravens are saying, "Here, Lamar, let's get you some help."
Okay.
So yeah, so we're kind of in sync on that one.
Hmm.
So I like that. Um, let
I
me give you. Oh, go
I
ahead.
yeah, well, I have a pretty hot take that I kind of just came up with, and I'm kind of
Ooh,
there for it.
spur of the moment hot take. Go for it.
Yeah. So as you're probably gonna like turn your head around 360, but as much as I hate the Patriots for how long they were good,
Hmm.
I think in the next 5 years, I think Drake, what is it, Drake Main, Drake
Drake
Man,
May.
Drake May.
May. Uh-huh.
I think he's gonna be a top five quarterback.
Mm, okay.
I
Interesting.
just his work ethic at
Hmm.
where'd he go? North Carolina.
Hmm.
I,
See, that's
I
my problem. I don't have enough knowledge about any of these rookies coming in to know if that's a hot take or not.
mhm,
But I respect it. Okay, so his work ethic when he was at North Carolina. Go ahead.
mhm. And I think the obviously he's not gonna have a very good year this year.
Yeah,
They're probably gonna be the worst team in the NFL.
agreed.
But when you become the worst team in the NFL, what do you get? You get the best. Well,
You get those draft
you
picks.
potentially get the best players in the draft because you get the first picks.
Hmm.
I think he's going to be kind of like a flash of Justin Herbert, and I know you aren't a fan of Justin Herbert, but
Hmm.
I think he can be the better Justin Herbert.
Hmm. Okay, so there's a hot take right there. So Drake May in the next what? Yeah, I know you said 5 years. So
Yeah,
I
5 years.
5 years will be better than Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, interesting. I like it. Like I said, I'm not well versed enough in the rookies to have an opinion on Drake May, but we'll see how he looks. I think he very easily could be Mac Jones and absolutely tank. So we'll see if that Patriots organization gets turned around and back to their winning ways.
Hmm.
Um, so okay, so my next take, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to go with here. Um, I think my medium level take here, and this is going to be a lot coming from a Cowboys fan. I think
Okay.
it has to do with the Giants. Here's my hot take. I think that Daniel Jones
Mhm.
is comeback player of the year. I think that
Really?
Daniel Jones will be a top 15 quarterback in fantasy, and I think he'll be a top half of the league quarterback IRL too.
Holy
Uh,
moly. I don't know what's making you say this.
I have two words for you.
Okay.
Malik Neighbors.
Ooh.
Malik Neighbors will easily be the best wide receiver that Daniel Jones has ever thrown the ball to.
Okay.
And here's the thing: when I was doing some research, especially in some of the betting odds, right? In terms of betting odds right now, the Giants over under is at 6.5 wins, which I think that's fair, right? It sounds fair compared to how horrible we expect them to be, right?
Right.
Without even looking, how many games would you think the Giants won last year in that disaster class of a season they had?
They won like four, right?
They won 6 games last year.
Okay. That was with Tommy DeVito.
So you're telling me in a year where we're potentially going to get Daniel Jones in a last ditch effort, right? I don't know if it's a contract year, but I'm just saying, like, if he's not, if he doesn't do well this year, he's probably out, right?
Agreed.
He's a full season of him because he's going to be healthy. We have to assume health.
Hmm.
And with Malik Neighbors, the best wide receiver he's ever thrown the ball to, no Saquon Barkley anymore, right?
Hmm.
You're telling me that Daniel Jones isn't going to be better just off that virtue alone. He's going to be forced to throw the ball more. Again, there's no Saquon back there.
Right.
Um, he's going to throw the ball to this stud rookie, and I think they're going to be electric. Now, I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs, but setting their win total at 6.5 wins when they won 6 games last year without Daniel Jones and without Malik Neighbors, I think that easily gives them an extra win on the season.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, comeback player of the year. Who's he competing with for comeback player of the year? Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I mean,
That's
realistically,
probably about
right?
it.
I think that Aaron Rodgers' situation, at least people see his situation as maybe a little bit better of a situation. Um, think about it. The Jets defense is so good. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be involved in many shootouts, but you know whose defense is terrible? The Giants. You know who's going to be involved in shootouts if Daniel Jones can sling the ball? The Giants.
Okay. That's okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
When
So,
I just looked up the like not the record but the roster,
uh-huh.
I forgot that the Giants signed Drew Lock.
Oh, yep.
And I don't know. I like with that being said, I could almost see him, Drew Lock, trying to compete for that. Like if there's any hesitation on Daniel Jones, do you
Mhm.
think the Giants are do you think the Giants start Drew Lock if Daniel Jones is not the quarterback? I say that he was, but I don't think he ever was a quarterback. I, but as you said, you know, he never really had a receiver to throw it to.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't think so because I don't think Drew Lock is the answer. I don't think it's one of those things where they're like, well, we know Daniel Jones isn't it. Let's see what we got in Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock is just a stopgap starter if they need someone to step up because Daniel Jones gets hurt. I think they're gonna ride the wheels off of Daniel Jones this year, and if he's not it, they'll move on from him next year with another top pick.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so there's level 3. We're gonna start cranking this thing up. We're gonna get into some ghost pepper type heat here, Noah. What is your fourth hot take?
So this is kind of off a whim because I was thinking about rookie of the year, right?
Hmm.
And this could be completely like a hit. Like, you know, whenever you buy that pepper and you bite it, you're like, oh, that wasn't really that hot. This could
Hmm.
be one of those bites, right?
Okay.
I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is gonna win rookie of the year.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's not a hot take, man. I think he's projected to win Rookie of the Year.
I thought Caleb Williams would be projected.
Okay, even so, I think it's a two-man race, right?
Okay.
Um, but I mean, I can give it to you. I'll double check it. But why do you think that? Why do you think he's going to win it over Caleb Williams?
Well, I just think well, okay. I guess here's a hot take,
Mhm.
and I should have said this to begin with. Everybody is hyping Caleb Williams up so incredibly and so much, right?
Mhm.
I don't think moving on from Justin Fields was the answer, and
Mm.
that is my opinion. Will Caleb Williams be a better quarterback than Justin Fields? I don't think so. I just
Mm.
he got like what he got injured. Just some off the field stuff about from what I saw. Just some stuff about Caleb Williams that I just didn't like when he was playing his last year in college. I just
Mm.
don't think I think if they would have kept Justin Fields with the weapons Williams has now, I think they might have made the playoffs. And who knows? I mean, the Bears are kind of projected to make the playoffs. I don't see them making the playoffs at all.
Mm.
I see Caleb Williams being an extreme bust.
Interesting. Just to back up some of your numbers too, favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year is Caleb Williams. Actually, second is Jaden Daniels for Washington.
Okay.
And then third, Marvin Harrison Jr. is third, just barely behind Jaden Daniels. So he's top 3.
Yeah.
But I think I like this take a little bit better. Caleb Williams not better than Justin Fields.
Yeah.
I think that's spicy. My 2 cents on that is I don't necessarily disagree with you. I was very high on Justin Fields. I don't think the team did him any favors. Um, with that being said, I can understand why the Bears did what they did because Justin Fields is coming to the end of his rookie contract,
Mhm.
whereas Caleb Williams is at the start of his rookie contract. So again, you kind of have that idea where you can build around a rookie quarterback while he's still cheap. Um, so I understand why the Bears did it. I personally think I agree with you. I don't really see there being too much of a step up from Justin Fields to Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and I mean, just looking at this, looking at their depth chart, you know, you have DeAndre Swift, I think a great running back in my opinion, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen. I mean,
And they drafted Roma Dunze.
yeah. And Cole Kmet. I think Cole Kmet's a good tight end, like
Hmm.
a good what fifth option if no one else is open. I think they have the weapons. I just don't think Caleb Williams is the answer.
Mm. Okay. All right. You heard it here first. Caleb Williams, draft bust.
Yeah, completely draft bust.
Ooh, all right. Now we're getting spicy. Now I like this. Um, so I'm gonna give you my level 4 take. And if you don't think it's spicy enough, let me know because I have another one. I have two that are in this range. I think I'm going to lean to this one though. My next take is about Green Bay. Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
I think the Green Bay Packers are missing the playoffs this year.
Really?
I am not a believer in Jordan Love. I'm a Jordan Love hater, I guess you could say. He ain't it. I don't think he's it. I don't think he's anything special. I think he is just a guy. This year they have the 8th toughest schedule, so their schedule is getting, it's going to be much more difficult this year. My opinion at receiver, they have just a bunch of Jags. You know what a Jag is?
Just what a person?
Just a guy.
Just a guy. Okay.
They got a bunch of just a guys at receiver. I think they have a lot of wide receiver 2s on most other teams, maybe wide receiver 3s on other teams. I don't think they have a true number 1. Argument could be made that, oh, well, Christian Watson is their number 1. When's the last time Christian Watson could stay healthy? Pretty sure that brother has paper for hamstrings.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't see it. I'm not a believer in their skill positions. Like this is what I did when I was putting this take together. And I thought, I'm a Green Bay hater. They beat the Cowboys in the playoffs last year, and I'm salty about it. All that's true, but I'm more upset with the Cowboys than I hate the Packers for that.
I can agree with you there. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because they beat us fair and square. I mean,
yeah, they whooped our ass fair and square. We were not prepared, and that has, my opinion, nothing to do with Green Bay and everything to do with the Cowboys. Do this for me. Let's just do this quick drill, okay? Think about the teams in the NFC North. You got Green Bay, you have Minnesota, you have the Bears, and you also have the Detroit Lions. Now, okay, tell me what quarterback you would rather have between, what is it, Jared Goff, Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, and Jordan Love.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather have
I'm taking
Lions.
Goff.
Yeah, Goff.
Yeah.
Goff. Yeah.
I'm taking Goff. Even if you guys want to say Jordan Love is the second best quarterback in the league, in that division, okay, I could get behind that mainly because the rookies are unproven, right? Let's look at skill position players. The Lions have Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Gibbs, Montgomery. The Vikings, they have JJ. They have Jordan Addison. Now, I don't think they have a great running back, but I mean, they have the best wide receiver in the league and then a pretty bona fide wide receiver too, right? They also have Hawkinson when he comes back from injury.
Yep.
Okay. Go to the Bears. We just talked about their skill positions. Swift, Odunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, right? I mean, good Lord, right?
Yeah.
Now go to the Packers. Christian Watson, they have Wicks, and Dobbs.
And
I
mean, now Josh Jacobs, but he's coming off an injury.
And Josh Jacobs, sure, but in my opinion, the Packers, their skill position players, they're 4th in that division.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, not only are they not going to make the playoffs, they don't get out of their division. I don't even know if they're going to finish 2nd in their division.
Really? So who would you have over the Packers?
I mean, obviously, I'm definitely taking the Lions over the Packers. But
yeah.
would it surprise me if, counter to your other point, if Caleb Williams comes out and he's a slight upgrade over Justin Fields, and with those skill position players they put around him, the Bears, who I think had a pretty decent defense towards the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken, if the Bears ended up making a push and finishing higher than the Packers, that wouldn't surprise me. Would it surprise me if J.J. McCarthy comes out and ends up being able to just feed the ball to Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison? I don't know. That would surprise me. Or does Jordan Love come out and recreate his season from last year where he's a top 5 quarterback? I'm a believer in the other two situations than that one.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, yeah,
that's my spicy take there. Green Bay fans, I think prepare for some regression for next year.
Okay, wow.
All right. So last up, we're in the Carolina Reaper territory, man. I want your spiciest take.
I think even though what I said about Drake Maine, I think what I said, I think the New England Patriots are going to be top 5 in the next 5 years. They'll be really good, right?
Mm-hmm.
but I think Bo Nix is going to be the best quarterback in that draft.
Oh man. Okay. All right. You're gonna have to convince me on this one because I do not see it.
You don't see it?
No shot.
I think his just ability. I mean, he went from where did he came from Auburn and then he went to Oregon. You know, I think him changing schools like that. Although I don't think the Denver Broncos will be good this year. They're
they're
not going to
not.
be good at all.
They're gonna be terrible.
I mean, I'm looking at their receivers right now, and they have Sutton, and that's about it. It looks like both
Yeah.
of their tight ends are injured. I mean, and
Yeah.
they don't ever see they don't have a running back or
Running backs are Javonte Williams and Jaleel McLaughlin.
yeah, and I don't even really see like any lines that are sticking out right now.
Yeah.
But I just think Bo Nix will be like I'm just calling it right. Like I like it's
You
just
got
one
to
of
call your
those.
shot.
Yeah,
You got to call
it's
your
one of
shot.
those. It's one of those like negative whatever in Vegas that you go and you just put $20 on just to kind of hope that it works out. But I just like him as a guy. He's got a nice smile. He's a good looking guy. I think he's gonna be good.
You just have this gut feeling about Bo Nix. Nothing to back it up. You're just saying, you know what? That's the guy.
Yep, and sometimes that's all you need.
Let me tell you, if Bo Nix ends up being a better quarterback than Caleb Williams with all those weapons around him, and JJ McCarthy with the best wide receiver in the league, if Bo Nix somehow ends up being a better quarterback than those two guys in particular because of the situations they got drafted to, I would I would have lost a bet.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
No, I think I couldn't be more opposite of you here. I think that the Broncos and the Patriots, so those two quarterbacks that you mentioned, those two teams that you mentioned, they're going to be having a toilet bowl off for who's going to get the number one pick next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily know that either of those are going to be the quarterback's faults just because those teams are so bad. But I think we've seen it for a while now. When quarterbacks are drafted to bad teams, that's where they go to. I mean, their careers end.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Okay.
hey, who knows, right? Maybe I'll go to Vegas and put that 20 on Bo Nix for MVP in 5 years.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
The only thing that gives me hope, the only thing where I could maybe be swayed to your side a little bit,
Sean
is
Payton.
I would like to see what Sean Payton does with him. Yep,
Yep.
agreed, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So all right, well, okay, yeah, that one's got me a little heated. Not gonna lie. So here's my Carolina Reaper take. You have to know where I'm going with this right now. You have to know.
When you said it like that, I do have one idea in my head,
Yeah, you,
but I'm
you
not gonna
have to
I'm not
know.
gonna spoil it out.
Look, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna stand on business. Justin Herbert is the most overrated quarterback in the league.
uh,
To most people, Justin Herbert is a consensus top 3 to 5 quarterback in the league. I think he belongs in the middle of the pack. I don't think it's his fault, but right now, with what he's accomplished, I don't think he should even be top 10. He should minimum be 11. Minimum. I have some stats I'll talk about, and I'll tell you my list of people that are above him. So I do want to be as fair as I can, I suppose, to Herbert. I think that his coaching has let him down. He
mhm.
didn't play a full season last season because he wasn't healthy. But I think that people get enamored with some of the numbers that he has. And what I don't think people realize is that he's not a very efficient quarterback. So some numbers that I'm pulling, some advanced stats that I'm pulling from a player profiler is from the last healthy season that he had, which was 2022, his yards per attempt, 25th in the league, 6.8, very low
Wow.
yards. So he's kind of dinking and dunking the ball. Air yards per attempt, he's 32nd in the league, 6.5 yards per attempt. If you want to go in the fantasy numbers, those are also very low. The reason that he had such great numbers, he had 699 pass attempts that season, which was good for number 2 in the league. So I don't see it. In terms of other efficiency ratings, his accuracy is relatively low. 24th in the league according to these advanced metrics. His deep ball completion percentage is middle of the pack, 15th. He does well under pressure. He had one of the higher pressured completion percentages, which is great. In the red zone, mid tier, number 15 in the league.
Mhm.
So deep ball catchable rate, 25th in the league. Deep ball accuracy, 25th. Red zone accuracy rating, 29th. Man coverage, 31st. His upside for rushing is non-existent, right? He doesn't run the ball.
Yeah.
Um, so I take those things, right? And then I look at his record. His record as a starter, if I'm not mistaken, he's 30-32 as a starter. So he's below 500 as a starting quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers.
Right.
He has not won a playoff game. You
Mhm.
throw all of that together. Here's my list of quarterbacks that I think I would take above him. Now, I do want to caveat this. Do I hold out hope that Justin Herbert's going to turn around and be better? I do, right? I hope so. Um, you know, Harbaugh's going in there and saying that they're going to run the ball. Are they running the ball because they want to balance things out, or are they running the ball because they want to take the ball out of Justin Herbert's hands a little bit? I don't know, right? I don't know.
Right.
But so I think there's not going to be any argument about these. I think Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. I take those over Justin Herbert all day, every day.
Yep.
Okay. Um, Burrow, Dak, and Goff. I'm taking both of them, or I'm sorry, all three of them. Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. Goff's been to a Super Bowl. Dak just finished second in MVP voting.
Mm-hmm.
I
Actually putting up those numbers, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, actually putting up those numbers, and albeit it could be against inferior competition. Sure, you can make that argument, but also Justin Herbert had that same potential. He had the same ability to put it up against against lesser opponents.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get a little spicier, right? So right there with those quarterbacks I've listed, that already puts him at 8. So that's Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Dak, Goff. Sorry, that puts him at 7 on my list. Now we get into preference. I'm taking Purdy over him.
Okay.
I'm taking Brock Purdy because of A, how much money he makes, and B, the system he's in, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not just taking a quarterback, we're taking their situations. I think Purdy's going to be a better, more efficient quarterback. I take CJ Stroud over him.
Yeah, I
Again,
agree.
you're telling me unaccomplished quarterbacks, right? They haven't done anything in the playoffs, which actually did CJ won a playoff game last year, right? Unless I'm mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty sure.
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did, because then he had to face the Broncos. I mean the
Yeah,
Browns, I
the
think, right?
Browns. Or no, honestly not sure. Might have to look that up. I think he did though. CJ Stroud. He has one playoff win, so
Okay.
already 100% more than Justin Herbert. Um, okay, Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably take Stafford over him now. Again, in this upcoming season, right? It'll be tough because Stafford's getting older, but body of work. Give me Stafford. Um, Okay, now this is where we get kind of right interesting because if we go all the way to Stafford, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So Stafford is who I have as my 10th quarterback. I didn't mention this one, but Hurts, I take Jalen Hurts over him. Also been to a Super Bowl. Um, so then here's some other names I think that would fall in his range, right? You've got Trevor Lawrence,
Yep.
Jordan Love,
Yep.
Daniel Jones. The reason I say Daniel Jones has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert, by the way. We
Really?
just talked about how terrible, right? How terrible the New York Giants team has been. Just the construction, roster construction, everything. And Daniel Jones has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert.
And he's had arguably a super team around
He's had
him.
Daniel Jones has had arguably a bunch of ragtag nobodies around him except for Saquon Barkley on one leg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. So again, I think really between Stafford, Lawrence, Love, and Daniel Jones, I'm not gonna sit here and say I would take Daniel Jones over Justin Herbert. I wouldn't. I'm being realistic. You guys, my bias against Jordan Love. Apparently, that was my last hot take. I would not take Jordan Love over Justin Herbert. But Stafford and Lawrence, I think it's close. And honestly, Trevor Lawrence over Justin Herbert, I don't think that is that outlandish because Trevor Lawrence has one playoff win
Did you
and it's
mention Murray?
over. No, I don't even have him above Kyler Murray. I don't think I would take it personally, but I don't think I could knock anybody that would.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so I mean, if you put Murray up there, and again, I'm going to put Lawrence in front of him just because Lawrence has one playoff win and is against Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has no playoff wins, right? They had an opportunity to go head to head. Herbert's team blew the lead. Lawrence came back and took the lead and won. Yeah, so minimum 11th. If you put Kyler Murray ahead of him, Justin Herbert's a top 12 quarterback in the league, and that's not 3 or 5.
Yeah. Right.
So I think most people have him there in their top 3. I personally I wouldn't be able to put him above top 12, and I can already hear the hate coming because I'm not gonna lie. If he was in a different situation, maybe it's better. But guess what? You can only play the games in front of you. You can only play with the team that your GM has built for you, and he has not shown enough to be elevated into that stratosphere of greatness.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good take. I like what you were saying. I think a lot of people do put him in top 5, and you kind of drew him down to top 12, if that, the 13th best quarterback. And when you look at the weapons he's had, he shouldn't be a top 13 quarterback.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You look at that team, and whether you want to call it clock mismanagement by the coach, there's always a million excuses, right? But I'm tired of the excuses for Justin Herbert. At some point, if you're going to be that guy, you got to go get it done. Patrick Mahomes was throwing the ball to farmers last year and won
And
a Super Bowl.
won it all. Yeah.
Josh Allen literally has nobody on his team. He might be throwing to people from the fans, like the crowds. I'm not sure, right? Um, but I have faith that he's going to get it done. Now, it might not look the best, but I think that team is still going to be competitive. They're not gonna fold and give up.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I need to see it from Justin Herbert. I still don't see it. I think he's too talented for people to move on from. But let's take off the rose-colored glasses and let's look at who he really is. Below 500 quarterback that's had above average weapons around him.
Yeah, and I think that's a good little time for us to cool our mouths off.
Yeah,
Especially with
I think
both of
so.
ours. Mine being Bo Nix being the best quarterback in that draft, and
Yeah,
you're saying that Herbert's maybe a top 15 quarterback.
yeah, yeah. I think like I said, you and I just put him 11 and 12. If people wanted to argue him down from some of those other quarterbacks I listed, if someone said he was 15, 16, I wouldn't argue.
Right.
So, yep. So I think, like you said, on that note, we can get out of here. We'll go get some milk to cool our mouths. I know you don't like milk, but it
Yeah,
helps with that spice. So, I think this is a good spot to wrap it up.
I agree. No, I agree. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed today's episode. I know I did. It was a good one. And look back. We don't know what we're going to be talking about next time. I did do the editing a little bit differently, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.